Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the Ioniq 6, Hyundai's brand new sedan electric vehicle. It's based off the Ioniq 5, so in terms of like the powertrain, it's very similar. But it is a full-on sedan, which is actually kind of weird because most manufacturers are going to SUVs. But hey, we still got sedans. And let me tell you everything that you need to know about it, starting with the looks. The front end on the 6 here is actually very tapered down, and because of this shape, it's actually very aerodynamic. 0.22, it's actually one of the better ones. The EQS is 0.20, which is definitely the best in class, but this is exactly the same as the EQE, which is quite interesting. You got LED headlamps on the front, which look actually really nice, and active shutters on the bottom, which can open and close depending on the needs of the vehicle. On the side, we see more of that aerodynamic shape. This being the ultimate trim here, I do have the 20-inch wheels. You do lose range because of, well, the 20-inch wheels, but they do look pretty good. This aerodynamic look and shape of the vehicle is actually very unique. And in my eyes, I actually like this a lot more than the EQS per se. This just looks a lot more distinctive. And then back here, you got this deck lit spoiler that is illuminated. This is part of the third brake light, and this tail light, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning vehicle. I was actually staring at another one of these as we're traveling down here. There's nothing really on the market like this. It's absolutely beautiful. In the trunk here, not too bad. You get 11.2 cubic feet. It's definitely not the largest, but it's sufficient for most people's needs, and you can fold down those rear seats 60/40 as you like. But let's close this up and head inside. All right, the back seats. I'm 5'11" and I'm like right on the headliner. My feet, well, they're decently comfortable. I don't have as much headroom as a Tesla Model 3, but I do have more legroom, which is great. And the seats back here, pretty comfortable. I have heated seats back here, USB-C charge points as well. So it's actually a pretty nice place to be. And of course, you get your center armrest with your cup holders. Honestly, for a sedan with this shape, this headspace is absolutely fine. If I slouch down a little bit, I'm very comfortable back here.
In terms of fitting child seats, on the driver's side, here's a Kleck Ling infant seat. As you can see, there's plenty of space for me to glide this seat in. No problems here whatsoever. And then on the passenger side here, this is a Kleck Fünf in rear facing. Once again, plenty of space within this cabin. In terms of lower anchors, there's 2 sets, one on the driver's side and one on the passenger side. They are in between the cushions, so they're a little harder to get to, but there are 3 upper anchors behind the headrests.
All right, the front seats of the Ioniq 6, very comfortable in here. The seats themselves have actually pretty good lateral support, so the bolsters are actually really nice. The seats themselves are nice and soft. They're heated as well as cooled, which is great. But the only thing is controlling that is a little bit of a mess, as you have to kind of dive into menus for that. Little annoying there. In front of me, I do have a heated steering wheel. This one actually pretty nice because this heated steering wheel, there's illuminated 4 dots in the center. And just like the Ioniq 5, well, the 4 dots mean H, which is actually kind of cool. You have a drive mode selector on the side. It is not a rotary knob. It is only a push button, and you get some paddle shifters behind to control the regen. Digital cluster behind that, it's very similar to other Hyundai and Kia products. Looks good, works well, nothing to complain about. Same thing with the heads-up display, as well as the main infotainment. You get your widescreen infotainment in here. You get your Apple CarPlay, as well as your Android Auto, but you do have to plug it into the USB port down in the center. Speaking of USB ports, there's 5 USB ports in total. Standard USB-A in the center, 2 USB-Cs in here, and 2 more in the back. So you got all the, well, ports that you really need. It's a lovely cabin. The ambient lighting is actually really nice in here. The touch points is also really good. There's nothing to really complain about. And unlike the Ioniq 5, where you don't really have a place for your phone, you do here. This center tunnel, it's great. And you have your window switches in the middle, which is a little odd, but it actually cleans up the door cards quite a bit. So I do like that. Let's talk a little bit about the powertrain options before we go for a drive. Here in Canada, we only get one battery size, a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery. With the base rear-wheel drive model, you get 225 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, 581 kilometers of range. You can add all-wheel drive, and that bumps your horsepower to 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet. And that limits your range down to 509. If you spec with the 20-inch wheels that we have here, that drops it down a little bit more to 435 kilometers. All right, let's give it a go. It's quick, it's sport mode, so I mean, it's an electric vehicle. It's what you expect. You put it onto normal, things dull down a little bit. You can put on eco and dulls it down even more. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, over 360 horsepower. It's not going to be slow. It throws you back into your seat. What's nice is, for a lot of electric cars, it's not so much the power, because most electric vehicles have plenty of power. What the Ioniq 6 does well is the suspension. It's sprung really, really well. It's firm enough that you get a little bit of that more pleasurable driving sense without kind of breaking your back. Because it's not a sports car. This isn't the N variant. It maybe have an N variant in the future, but this is just your regular, typical Ioniq 6. And it's just a comfortable place to be. And it's not, well, it's not intrusive. It's not anything special. That might sound like a negative, but it isn't. Because, you know, in your everyday commuter car, what you want to do is you want a car that is, well, just a car. It doesn't have to be special. It just has to do everything really well. And the Ioniq, well, it just drives really, really well. And on the highway, with the Highway Driving Assist 2.0 that this has, it can change lanes for you. It detects when the vehicle's in front of you, slows down. That all works amazingly great. Like, it's really, really good. And also the lane keep assist, the lane centering on all Hyundai vehicles, always one of the best. It just keeps you within your lane. It just tracks really well. And when you're on the highway, it sometimes beeps like that, but you don't have to think too much about it. It can basically drive for you. Overall, this is a great driving vehicle. Dynamically, it actually is really, really good. We took it up to Cypress here, and you know, in the corners and in twisties, it felt very sure-footed. It's kind of what you expect. I love one thing about this over any other Hyundai electric car. It's the new iPedal. I forgot exactly what they called it, but it's like this predictive iPedal. So what it does is, when it detects that there's a vehicle in front of you, it can automatically increase or decrease the regen as needed. It's a little bit weird at first, but after getting used to it for a little bit, it actually works really well. Like going downhill right now, my foot isn't moving at all, but it's like trying to increase that regen to slow me down and keep me within the speed limit. It's smart like that. And if there's a vehicle in front of you, it, well, slows you down even more to make sure that you don't hit the vehicle in front. It's actually a pretty clever system. Like I said, overall, the Ioniq 6, pretty good vehicle overall. If you're looking for an electric vehicle and you want a sedan, definitely take a look at this. Sure, you can get a Polestar 2 or the Tesla Model 3. If you're looking at base prices, it's very in line with each other. But once you start stacking on options, that's where this kind of wins, because this, with the all-wheel drive and the ultimate trim here, sure, it's 64,000 Canadian. It's not like it's, well, a tiny amount, right? But if you compare it to a long-range Model 3 or a Polestar with all the options, actually it's not that bad. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.